let's talk about just the principles behind these types of events, because first of all, there's a principle under international law that all people have the right of self-determination, and that's contained in the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of the United Nations. And then, of course, I think we all know about the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I believe all United Nations members ascribe to that. So then, when you have a group of people who would like to have their self-determination, and they're part of another territory, referendums would usually come after a successful political or military struggle and pressure from the separatists, as we call them, or nationalist organizations will then force either the international community to advocate for a referendum, or actually, as you mentioned, Chris, a negotiation with the country that is actually controlling the territory. The one that I would also point...
So, I will take the video back later on, but I want to explain it for our people and very well make them understand what it happened. Because Chris Ano didn't go on a campaign about this issue for referendum, and it caused a lot of concern and stir. Personally speaking, I just believe saying a distraction, a person will be very creative and innovative to seek attention and relevance. That is what it is. But it gives a very good opportunity for educate our people and for research ourselves about the whole issue of referendum. And Thibault Nagy didn't talk very correctly. Our people are a people under international law, and we have the right of self-determination under international law. The International Court and African Court of People's Rights have ascertained and established that we remain a people. The people of the so-called Northwest and Southwest Ambazonia are a people, one, under international law, and have that right to self-determination. These are the points that he made. He said that self-determination is usually exercised in a referendum, and that is true. That means for you to exercise self-determination, it is through a referendum or even a plebiscite. Remember when they wanted us to exercise our choice on where do we want to go, our politicians have their way, but the people are the ultimate ones who expresses that right through referendum. The United Kingdom in joining European Union or to exit, they went through referendum. So referendum is how you exercise self-determination ultimately. But the issue is, should we be campaigning for referendum? He says that referendum comes after a successful political or military struggle from the separatists. So what happened? Referendum only comes after a successful military or political struggle from separatists. After, not before. Have we already succeeded our military operation? Have we kicked Cameroon out already and we are in the position where the solution is coming? Have we succeed politically against Cameroon? No, not yet. We are still in the middle of a war. And he says that this is how it comes. It can only come after a successful political and military struggle that will force the international community to advocate for a referendum, or force the country who is in control of that land to go through negotiation to organize a referendum. So the campaign for referendum is not done by the oppressed people, it's done by the international community. The international community or the United Nations will now force the La Republique, will now advocate the La Republique to, or through negotiation or directly, to have referendum to resolve a conflict after the oppressed people have won. So it is not in our place to start campaigning for referendum, or we want referendum. It is not in our place. So I'll play it, and he has very important information there for you to listen.
So then, when you have a group of people who would like to have their self-determination, and they're part of another territory, referendums would usually come after a successful political or military struggle and pressure from the separatists, as we call them, or nationalist organizations will then force either the international community to advocate for a referendum, or actually, as you mentioned, Chris, a negotiation with the country that is actually controlling the territory. The one that I would also point you to is the case of Bougainville, which is a territory of Papua New Guinea. And that, I think, would be one that would be fairly close to the case of Ambazonia, because they've had a civil struggle. There was a peace agreement between Bougainville and the government of Papua New Guinea. Then they did have the required referendum in 2020, and 97% of the people voted for independence. And now they're in the process of trying to make that actually happen. So each of these situations is very unique, but the key word, I actually agree with you, absolutely.
So we see the talk for in case for Bougainville. Now one of the struggle way I ran share on the video, they fight too Odeshi, they don't do the same like Ambazonia, their flag almost similar with our own. And at one time they were almost crushed. But they're very united and they presented their case so well. They went into negotiation, and through negotiation, they had a lot of give and take. They actually stopped fighting, actually stopped even their nationalist campaign for a period of time to effect a referendum that happens when Bougainville, New Papua New Guinea, changed its constitution to make way for referendum that have expressed their people's rights of self-determination that they want independent. And they are going through a transitional period, I think it's 10 years or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, where they will eventually have independence. So that is a journey of a similar case like Ambazonia. And let us hear what he wants to say, which is very important here.
Is united. That is one of the reasons that I have been so adamant in encouraging the community to be united in its point of view, because to get to the point that you are mentioning right now, it is so critical for the community to advocate to the United Nations and to allies around the world, and yes, even to the government at Yaoundé, what the community wants. Because I guarantee you that the government in Yaoundé would pay attention much more if the Southern Cameroonian community comes to them with a united voice. And it goes to the United Nations with a united voice. And it goes to the governments of the United States and the United Kingdom and Canada and Germany and the European Union with a united voice. That is why that is the first critical element, because before the community can take step one, it has to speak with a united voice.
So, wait to wake Thibault Nagidi talk. He say our people, they need to speak with a united voice. They need to take their case to Cameroon. They need to take their case to the United Nations and to these 5 countries, Germany, USA, UK, EU, and Canada. And at these same 5 countries, including France, and at these 5 countries, them, we then be the back this Canadian talk will be happen. Now, these 5 countries, the way they be supposed to come up for support the commitment and guarantee the real negotiation will be supposed to start after the pre-talks. These 5 countries, them, specifically, they be the wait for the announcement. Say once the Canada government go announce, they go come in for Twitter. Also, their foreign minister them or their president, they go announce for congratulate Ambazonia and La Republique, so that negotiation will start. Then the Canada go announce the negotiation. When instead come out, they go attack the foreign minister of Canada. When una know so una already secure a commitment way include independence. Why? What type of a hard line is that? You people attack Canada, distribute them, put their credibility on the line. Do you know the ramification of that to do that to an international partner? We just want to show we are strong when we are supposed to be humble, to beg the international community for opportunities that we cannot get by our own power. And today people have ruined everything. And you want to go out to blackmail those you are afraid may tell the people what actually happened. So this, what he is saying, is very important, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take our case to these 5 international powers to advocate for our right of self-determination, and to the United Nations as well, and to the European Union, to advocate for them and make that case that our people deserve a support for their right of self-determination. Our people have been stripped of all the international protection under the International Human Rights Declaration. And I'm going to make that case with substantiated evidence to present to the people, to the world, why they need to solve our own case. And we need to do it in a specific way. And I will let him speak for himself, because I can always have my podcast to advocate on how those things are best done. But I'll let us hear what Tibo Nagy said. First of all, he said that a united front. We have to be united in our ability to speak to the international community. Are we united? Can we unite? The answer to that question is very no. We are not united. Can we unite the way people are thinking that the AGOVC, the IG, and all this group will come together? No, we cannot. Why? Because even the pre-talks, the pre-tour, where I brought that initiative to the AGOVC that we should have this pre-talk. In Canada, where we were supposed to have the IG, the consortium, the APLM, the IG, and everybody's supposed to come together with a representative. Nobody showed up, because everybody's worried that if I come, the agency will look good. The agency is worried if the IG comes, the IG they'll use it as a case against the IG's legitimacy, and everybody have been stalled. So all those models for us to unite have failed. The only way for us now to unite is everybody in ground zero, all of our people in ground zero, line up and round up and align themselves behind me. Why? Because right now I am the only Ambazonian leader in the diaspora who is in touch with our people. All of the rest have lost touch. All of them have lost their mind. They are now either so tied up with their own groups and their own leaders that they don't even care. As a matter of fact, they don't care about what happens to Ambazonia, so long as their own group or their own imaginations of this struggle is not catered for. We have seen how soldiers are being neglected. We see how they even select the type of victory they celebrate. Somebody will never celebrate the victory of another group. Do you think those type of people will come together? Look at what is happening in, you think that they can lead you? Look at what is happening in Ngi, in Momo. Have you heard any of them taking initiative or taking the responsibility to address and articulate this issue for the international community to understand, so that our struggle will not be defined by the enemy? Have you seen any of them doing that? They are just waiting. Is this going to hurt Capo Daniel? Is going to hurt the IG, or is going to hurt the ADF before they will say something? Because it has become a struggle to bring down other people, not about elevating our people. So they are even willing to sacrifice soldiers. You have seen people calling for soldiers to be assassinated. General Ivo was called to be killed, not by La Republique or Blacklegs, but by Ambazonians in the diaspora. So we can't follow that formula. We should never follow that formula. That leadership itself have been rejected, because the AGOVC, which was the most organized and principled organization, was supposed to be responsible to bring everybody together. They have failed in doing that. Other people would not even want to join them. And I think the reason today is clear with the way they have behaved with me. Who want to work with people who are going to behave like that? To be honest with you, who can work with you? So let us hear what he has to say.
Get to the question, how is the voice of the people on the ground sent around the world? Right now, we look around at the situation, and the voice of the people on the ground is actually the voice that is in the diaspora. Because those are the people that show up in the offices in New York, those are the people that show up in the offices of the State Department, and, they're the ones that have a lot of these media outlets. So that's the voice that the international community is hearing.
So, this one a very good clarification, and I hope this help our soldiers in the Ground Zero Forum and those APLC or APLP. What he's saying is that the voice who speaks for the Ambazonian people on Ground Zero is the voice in the diaspora. They are the people in the media. And who are the people in the media? Who champions the cause of those who are in the media? I'm currently the biggest Ambazonian personality in the media. It is through my word. And the international community made that clear in Canada. When they saw me and when they saw us there, they told our people there that they are very impressed with what the presentation they have had from me presenting our cause and our people. It has reassured them about our conduct. It has reassured them about our purpose. It has reassured them about a lot of things. So our people in Ground Zero should be understand. This should be clear. These are simple things you don't need to hit your head about. You cannot represent the struggle or speak for the struggle from Ground Zero. The international community expect us in the diaspora to speak for Ground Zero. So anybody who is trying to make a replica or do whatever they are trying to do for Ground Zero because of you want to, it is not realistic. It will never be competent. It will never be effective. So this is what the voice of the struggle is the voice in the diaspora, because we have access to international community, they have access to our media, we have time, and we have space away from direct confrontation on Ground Zero with the Cameroon military that goes around looking for people to target. So listen to the next part very clearly.
These other cases that we've talked about, whether it's South Sudan, whether it's Eritrea, case of Bougainville, East Timor, there was absolutely no question as to what the people really wanted. And that has been one of the detractions of the case of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, is that there has been a mixed message which has been sent around the world. And that is what has to change if the community is going to succeed. Personally, I think that...
Wait the way the talk now say, there have been mixed messages received by the international community. So Ambazonia, they would wonder, say, how come they would say they get mixed messages coming from the international community? Yes, they have mixed messages, because you have the two messages that are going out to the international community about our struggle are messages that come from the hardliners, a group that I have called the nationalists, and the moderates, which are the IG groups. The hardliners are of the stance that we must kick La République du Cameroun out of our territory. That the international community should, the only negotiation they can negotiate is when they come and tell Cameroon, pack your bag and leave our country. That is what the hardliners are saying. They have no room for negotiate. According to the hardliners, Ambazonia have never been a part with La République. La République does not have any legitimacy to be in our country. They are not recognized, and so they should get the heck out of our territory. The IG and the other groups who have been interacting with the international community have been very moderate and have been very realistic about international expectation and the international war view, and are more inclined in having some concession to come up with a solution. I have been with the AGOVC and part of the hardline, and I have been working very hard to make sure, because the hardline was the most important group, because they have power. The moderate have no power and have no competency in bringing power, because their underbelly will not stand the heat to generate that power. You can't have a power, you can't generate power with a moderate platform. But there is always a crucial point where you become your hardline, you reduce your hardline to facilitate negotiation that is going to help your people. And that is where the hardliners have failed. And today they have been rejected. And if a moderate do not emerge that is strong enough to rally our people, to engage the international community for a meaningful and comprehensive solution to the crisis, the whole struggle will collapse, and the international community will label us a black dog to be killed, which is what they have attempted to do if I did not intervene. It is time for us to re-evaluate our ideology, to re-evaluate our approach, and make sure that whatever we are communicating to our people and to the international community is compatible with reality and international law. And whatever solution we want to obtain will be attainable, and will be able to attract the type of attention and support from the international community to put pressure on La République for us to get to that point. Otherwise, we will fail completely if we follow the hardliners, because the hardliners have been rejected completely. Thibaut Nagy have come out to put out a statement which he basically tell our people that there is no country in the world that is going to sit and that is going to say to La République du Cameroon, sit down with the people of Southern Cameroon and decide on how you are going to divorce with them, or you are going to leave the country, which is a statement directed to Ayaba, Dr. Cho Ayaba. The international community have basically said that what you are saying is not correct, will never ever happen. The chances of that to ever happen is zero. Zero. This is a direct quote. If there is any diplomatic way of saying the same thing, I don't know. But the sanction put against Dr. Cho by the United States and Canada and many other countries that he has not yet come to be aware of, should tell our people that we must come out of the hardline, useless talk which have overstayed its welcome. Those hardline languages was meant to generate the resistance on the ground. But if you generate resistance without any rational thinking on just hardline, the result is going to be, we are going to have soldiers on the ground who wants to destroy people for holding a Cameroon ID card. We are going to have people on the ground who are not reasonable. Those are the shortcomings. And we have come this far to learn all these things. And we must be able to adjust ourselves when things change and when the signs change and when the international community are adjusting, because they are very crucial. So let's finish what he was saying.
That is absolutely that the people are saying this is what we want, or we want to see.
If the people are saying that with one voice, and that is the voice that is heard by the entire international community, and if the point that is made is that under the current situation the people of Ambazonia do not have their full rights, privileges, and dignity as prescribed by the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, then their chances would be good. But again, I get back to the point that everybody does pay attention to who is the messenger.
So this is very important, and our people should know. Everybody pays attention to who is the messenger. If Dr. Cho Ayaba is the messenger, our case is closed. It has been rejected. He has been rejected. He has been rejected for being such a hardline that refused common sense solutions that would have helped his people. Because of that, he has been labeled black. And I don't say that with any joy in my heart, because he's somebody I've come to respect like a brother and a friend. He's a comrade. He's a patriot. He's a blue blood Ambazonia. Make no mistake about that. I will never question his commitment to our cause. But his hardline position have made it impossible for him to make any progress for us. As a matter of fact, he will drag us to hell. He will drag us to hell. And listen very carefully what Thibaut Nagy said. He said, everybody pay attention on who the speaker is. Right now, I have stepped into that position because Dr. Cho have completely messed it up. He has completely messed it up. And I wouldn't stress it. And it's time for him to step down and call home his dogs and tell those who go around social media trying to blackmail, instigate, and intimidate those who are for rational positions to help Ambazonia attain its independence. Make no mistake, I'm for independent. Make no mistake, I'm from independent. But there are practical ways for us to move from point A to B. And it must be practical because we are dealing with the life of people here. You can't use this as an ideological issue. You can't. It's a practical issue. And we must be realistic. So let's listen.
So, the voice has to be one voice asking for this. And that is when the voyage begins.
So you can hear, he said that is when the voyage will begin. When our people finally can communicate to the international community in a language that will reflect the expectation of the international community and the interest of the international community on the basis for which we advocate our case. And he goes further to talk even about the legal argument that we have been so professional in putting out there. And listen to
but remember also that Namibia, East Timor, South Sudan, they went through a very long and extremely nasty civil war before it got to that point. The key selling point to the United Nations, to allied capitals, is the fact that the people of southern Cameroon right now are not receiving their human rights and their human dignity under their current situation. Because if it's just a matter, for example, if it's just a matter that they're not happy with the current arrangements, but if they had the full privileges and the equality that everybody else in Cameroon had, then it would not be a very sympathetic reception.
So these are very, very important information they are giving to our people for free. It can't just be that we are unhappy with the way the situation is, we don't like it. It should be that there are substantiative evidence that we can articulate that the current situation is unacceptable. Even an address to the special status and the solutions that the Cameroon government have put forth. Because remember, even for us, as we say that the national dialogue was a non-starter, it's a non-event, the special status is a non-event. For the international community, the grand dialogue and the special status is a step towards the right direction by the Republic of Cameroon to acknowledge this problem and try to provide solution. So for the sake of the international community that we need, we can't simply just dismiss positive steps that have been provided by the state of Cameroon, but we are obligated to examine it and respond to it and make a case why this thing cannot guarantee the fundamental rights of our people and why these solutions provided by the Cameroon does not meet up with the aspiration of our people that can guarantee the basic rights under international law. That is the language the international community expects to hear from us. That is a language we have not, and we are incapable of engaging it. Because if we were to respond rationally to the state of Cameroon, our internal dynamics, our internal politics, our groups that have been transformed to political parties and stupid heads who are only there to call people like the Republic of Cameroon will not allow us to do so. In hindsight, we could have comprehensively addressed the Cameroon Grand National Dialogue and tell them we cannot come, this is what we think, which we have done to ourselves and done to the international community, but not to the state of Cameroon. We have to engage them directly, even if it is just to answer the international community that this is what we have told Mr. Paul Biya. This is what we have responded to him. We can't be dismissive when we are weak. I'm telling you the honest truth. Well, especially, this is not just coming from rational thinking. These are opinions, as Thibault Nagy have said, that have been well articulated by our international partners and friends who are looking out for us. We must respond with articulation and not just anger and emotions, with the hope that we please our people and get more supporters or followers in these days, as they call it. We must examine things that have been presented to us and make a case and tell Cameroon and tell the world that, okay, this is what Cameroon have provided. These things does not meet the minimum requirement that can guarantee our international rights under international law. And we use the case of our history, not as a determining factor, but as a benchmark to show the injustice that we have done and to make a case for why we deserve to have those protections under international law. And that is how we get the international community to put real pressure in La République du Cameroon that can eventually lead to the case where they will say that truly, these people cannot help, they cannot give Ambazonia their right, because as we rightly said, Cameroon can never federate. As we rightly said, Cameroon are a power monger people. We have to prove it. You can't just say that Cameroon don't want to release prisoners and Cameroon don't want to go ceasefire, when Cameroon is actually telling you that I want ceasefire, I want to release your prisoner, and then you are the one who say no, I don't believe you. And then you think that people will think that you are rational. People will think that you are crazy. People will think that you are crazy, and that is how people think right now. So we have to be very rational, my friends.
But we all know how terrible the situation is in southern Cameroon, so that is the point that needs to be sold by the community to the international audience, because that is the pole that you put your hat on. Yeah, you know, I'm sorry.
That is, he couldn't say it any better. That is the pole you put your hat on. If there is any hope for Ambazonia to have anything from this struggle and for all the sacrifices we have made, it is right now, as I tell you, for our people to come together and be smart to leverage the fight we have had so far, to leverage the atrocity Cameroon have done against our people, to make a case that people can actually listen. It is the time now. If we wait too long, every victory we have had on the ground will be ruled out by Cameroon, and we'll get to a situation of total loss. This is not a joking matter.
People take offense, but as I've said over and over again, I deal with reality, you know, not with fantasy. And, you know, we can all imagine, you and I, how we would like the ideal world to be, but we live in this world. Some people will say it's a fallen world, and, you know, we have to deal with that. So we can have any number of conferences, and we can have brilliant academicians, because God knows the community has some brilliant academicians, you know, give lectures on the United Nations Resolution 1608 and what happened and what year and how terrible it was. But it's not going to matter one iota in the reality of this world and in moving forward.
So I know say what people then they always take things for joke, because you get some idiots, them I'll call them idiots, and where they will come, they are not only for crush people and you make excuses then for use people, then for close people their brain. My fellow Ambazonians, never let anybody do that to you. Keep your mentality intact, keep your critical cap on and reason. What Thibaut Nagy is saying is not just giving an opinion. He's expressing an underground policy of the United Nations and the United States that is very clear to everybody who knows how things work. What they are saying is that our history, to go and say that because Cameroon did this, without Cameroon do that, we are going to win because we say that, or because we prove that, is not realistic. Because the war does not function. There is no judicial review for decisions that are taken by the international community. You cannot review decisions that are made by the General Assembly or by the Security Council. It does not work that way. There is no world government right now. It is a system that is built the way it is. And we have to know this reality and know how to leverage the injustices that are embedded in our history. It is not useless, but it is not determinative. We can leverage it, but we should not just think that because we are right and we can go and quote this law here and quote this law here and then we will win. No. It is not a formula, mathematics formula that you need to just put in the right formula and then the answer will come out there win. Let's listen to him.
Whether or not I offend people, I'm just telling you that's the way it is. If you want someone to come in here and, you know, paint a beautiful picture and talk about unicorns and rainbows, then I'm not the right person to do that, because I'm going to tell the truth and I'm going to describe this awful world the way it is and how you can make progress in this current world. Well, you know, here's my question to all the wonderful, dedicated, sincere people who put everything on Resolution 1608. I asked them, so how will that be implemented? How will that matter to the future of Ambazonia? how will that be translated from the paper into actuality and reality? And I have yet to hear an answer from anybody, because they have this magical thinking that somehow, somebody's going to snap their finger and the international community is going to magically make the army of the Republic disappear from Ambazonia, and they will turn over the keys to the kingdom to the Ambazonian people.
So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the reality we need to face. We cannot ignore them. It is inconvenient. It is difficult for us to grasp and to understand the reason why the war is like that. Why they will be fighting for rights in the people in Ukraine and they will not fight for the rights of the people of Ambazonia. But that is just how the war is. For the most part, Africa as a whole have just been beneficiary from this international law that was meant primarily for the white people and their interests. We are not part of their interests. We are not part of their people. We just benefit from this case. And we must look at our problem realistically as such, so that we can best position ourselves on how we can leverage them and get what we want from them and the type of support that we need. And we must be very smart to do this. We cannot do this with ridiculous people making noise on our head on a day-to-day basis, with weaver birds coming out with silly allegations with no proof, no evidence, no substantiation, without being able to make a statement that have logic in it or make sense in it. We have to do this collectively as a people. And now is the time for us to do it. And we are going to do it together. So join me, continue to stand behind me, believe in what I do. I've shown you over the years that I've put your interests first and the country and the flag first. And I will continue to do so and make sure that we have the maximum out of this our struggle and we get the support that we need to see us through from the international community. Like I said, by early June, I'll be making a big political statement as your leader to assert ourselves in the international community and the mindset of our people on how we intend to go forward and how we intend to secure victory for our people. God bless you all.